You have identified the goal. You have announced the goal. You may have even purchased a notebook for the goal, selected a motivational quote, told 17 people about your goal, perhaps even created an entire Pinterest board depicting what life will look like once the goal magnificently manifests itself. That's so charming, really. But the account that belongs to that goal remains empty. Not because you're incapable, and not because the universe has conspired against you. Neither has the multiverse. And it's also not because Mercury, Saturn, Uranus, or any other celestial body has interfered with your goal, your interest, your motivation, or your abilities. The account is empty because your daily habits continue to finance bankruptcy with benefits and every other thing except for the goal you've set. Last week, we audited the discrepancy between what your mouth keeps ordering and writing on those checks and what your behavior actually funds. This week, we are going to talk about fixing that shit. We're not going to discuss it. We're not going to contemplate it. We're not going to purchase another decorative planning accessory and consider it progress. We're going to lay out some specific actions to stop defunding your goals. We're going to try to close those areas where you have the most leakage, protect your currency, and begin making the deposits that will actually cover the checks you keep writing. Because financial independence is freedom. Emotional independence is freedom. And behavioral independence is also freedom. And for July 2026, while the United States was celebrating its independence from the overlords in Great Britain, right, 250 years ago, I launched the Salty Goddess Fix Your Shit Planner and Guide. And that date I chose was not accidental. Friends, my little salty darlings, there's always a reason for why I do what I do. The planner was launched on Independence Day because getting your shit together is, at its core, an act of liberation, freedom from chaos, freedom from avoidance, freedom from the expectations of people who benefit from those your lack of boundaries, freedom from the habits that have underfunded your future and your future goals and your future self, freedom from your own exquisitely articulated excuses. So today, my darlings, we are drafting your personal Declaration of Independence, and I'm going to show you how to fund it. So good morning, my salty darlings, and welcome back to my corner of the multiverse, your hump day guilty pleasure. This is the Salty Goddess Podcast. I am Margaret, your resident purveyor of uncomfortable truths, audacious ambition, elevated standards, and the occasional verbal slap delivered with excellent diction and vocabulary. So please follow, subscribe, download, review, share, alert the village elders, notify the appropriate authorities, and tell your friends that you've discovered a sophisticated little corner of the multiverse where personal development is not dipped in glitter and served with a side of bullshit. Over the last 2 episodes, we've been discussing personal economics of building a meaningful life. Meaningful. Not just any life, but a meaningful one. First, we discussed the taxes of life. Every meaningful achievement carries a price, my friends. The price is stress, failure, boredom, persistence, and discomfort. And then we talked about why your bank account consistently has insufficient funds. Your mouth announces your dream, but your habits turn it into a fucking financial nightmare. Your habits determine whether that payment, that check that you wrote, is going to clear. When you claim you want success, but you're not financing it, instead you finance distraction. You keep renewing relationships that are built upon chaos. When you claim you want peace, you want financial stability, and yet your spending habits are auditioning for, the last episode, bankruptcy with benefits. You want transformation, but you protect every shitty habit that's responsible for the life that you claim you want to escape. We've identified the 5 currencies that fund your life in totality: time, attention, or focus, energy, money, and standards. So today we're going to stop admiring the problem and we're going to begin correcting the ledger. So there are actions you must take to fix your shit and to begin properly financing the future you say you want. So grab yourself a nice fountain pen and some paper, because you're going to need something to write with. That's right. Need something to write with. You're going to need your Salty Goddess Fix Your Shit Planner and Guide, a notebook, a legal pad, the back of an envelope, or that pristine planner by somebody else who's less talented than me, that you purchased 6 months ago, but you were afraid to write in because your handwriting might ruin it. It's paper. It will survive. And let us begin. Your first action, believe it or not, is painfully simple. Choose one goal, not 12. One. And not a beautifully coordinated portfolio of goals involving business growth and weight loss, financial independence, writing a book, repairing your marriage, learning Italian, organizing the garage, becoming a thought leader, running a marathon. Run. Not for me. And finally, using the bread maker you purchased during the pandemic. I want to tell you guys something. I have a bread maker and I've never used it. It's still in the box. So when I give you these points of action, understand that they are a lived experience for yours truly. I don't come in here and tout all of this knowledge and all of these things because I was born with it. Some of it I had to learn myself. So set one goal and one account to fund. We frequently, as humans, fail to make meaningful progress because we confuse ambition with simultaneous expansion. We'll open 43 accounts, deposit 97 cents into each one, and then complain that none of the accounts have enough money to purchase anything. But of course they don't. How could they? You fragmented the currency. You split it up. Every new commitment that you make competes for your time, your attention, your energy, your money, and your standards. You cannot fund every ambition at full capacity during the same season. You may care about a multitude of things. You may also have a multitude of responsibilities. And you probably, like me, possess enough ideas before you eat breakfast to keep an entire group of people busy until the second coming of Odin. And I understand. Been there, done that. But concentration, focus, is a strategy. So choose one goal. And choosing that one goal does not mean you've abandoned every other dream. It means identifying the account that needs your most deliberate focus, attention, and deposits today, right now. Your goal must be specific enough that you can recognize whether you are actually moving toward it or not. I want to be successful. That's your goal? Successful at what? You have to name the success. I want to get healthier. That's not specific enough. What does healthier mean? Improving your blood pressure, keeping your medical appointments, sleeping 6 hours instead of 4. Oh, how I desperately wish that were a possibility. Walking 3 times a week. Following the treatment plan that you and your clinician established and agreed to. Be specific. You want to grow your business? Sounds lovely. But what does growth mean for you? 5 new clients, 20% more revenue, a new service line, hiring competent help, launching a website, sending invoices before they become historical documents? You cannot fund a vague account. The account needs a name. So grab your Fix Your Shit planner and dedicate a page to one goal. And at the top, so understand, if you failed to purchase the planner, it's on Amazon, by the way. If you failed to purchase the planner, I understand. Get yourself a legal pad that is specifically dedicated to this goal. And at the top, you're going to write, the account I am funding is, and then complete the following sentence. I will know this account is funded when. You describe those results in observable terms, not in feelings, not in vibes, not when it quote unquote feels aligned, but when evidence exists, such as a completed manuscript, a launched business, $10,000 in savings, a completion certificate from a course that you wanted to take. Medical appointments have been kept, maybe. A relationship boundary is enforced. Maybe you published a podcast episode. You paid off a debt. You proposed something and submitted that proposal. You implemented a program. Evidence. Then you must ask yourself, why does it matter? Why does it matter now? What will be possible? What will become possible once I achieve this goal? What will remain impossible, unreachable, if I continue to delay it? And the question that people often avoid is this: am I genuinely willing to fund this goal, or do I merely enjoy the identity associated with wanting it? Some people don't actually want to write a book. They want to be known as someone who could write a book. Some people don't want to operate a business. They just want the title CEO in their social media biography. You know, this podcast came about, and I'm going to call out only by first name because I don't want to out people without them knowing it. This podcast came to be because one night on my 10-hour, 45-minute drive from South Carolina to New York, I was interacting with someone, and I was a tad bit on the salty side about other drivers not having 48 hours in a day, and I was just talking about all the salty crap that goes on in anybody's life, to be frank. And the individual said to me, you're pretty funny. Have you thought about a podcast? Like, some of the things you talk about are really important. You'd have to get a good name, though. You are a goddess, trust me. Oh, maybe Salty Goddess is the name. What? Well, maybe I should. And that is how this entire goal got generated. Then was a conversation with a couple of other friends who said, oh, yeah, I could imagine what the things that you could put on that podcast. I think it would be a great help. And I'm thinking to myself, these people really believe that my advice is good advice? And then I thought they might be smoking crack or something. I don't know. Told them to put their pipes down and back away slowly. But as I continued to drive by myself in this vehicle for 10 hours, that goal, that thought, that idea continued to foment. And by the time I got to my destination in New York, I whipped open my laptop, purchased a domain name and a couple of parallel domain names, and things began to form. And here we are, after some research, purchasing some equipment, doing the whole 9 yards, and then realizing too that I bought the wrong, well, I shouldn't say wrong equipment, but I didn't buy professional equipment at first, right? I didn't know what I was really doing. Made a couple of knee-jerk purchases and whatever else. So I turned the idea, the goal, into actionable items. I didn't just want to be known as a podcaster. I wanted to be one and see where this journey would take me. And I had failures in the beginning, friends, and I learned a lot from them. Some of my recordings sound crappy, like I'm in a tin can. Some of the content is boring and it'll make you want to stab your eyeballs out. Sometimes there wasn't a lot of energy in what I was saying. So you learn, and you learn from failures way better than you learn from successes. Trust me when I tell you. Don't get me wrong, the successes fueled even more motivation and desire to learn. And I followed that up with learning and more motivation and more things. So I didn't want to just be known as someone who could achieve that. But also, I knew that if this didn't turn out to be exactly what I was hoping it would be, I wasn't going to end up being made fun of. At least I fucking tried it. At least I did it. I funded the account. I wrote the check, and they were able to get, it was able to be cashed. So these are all part of different things that you need to go through when you're working on these goals. And can I tell you something? It's okay if after you get started funding the account that you realize, oh shit, I don't want to have to do this every week, every 2 weeks, every month. And then you say, I thought this is what I wanted to do, but I realized it wasn't for me. I didn't want to spend my time, my attention, my focus, my energy on this. The ROI isn't there for me. And it's okay to then turn around and say, I did it for 6 months. I did it for a year. And I decided I'd said all I needed to say and I was done. Or I didn't even record a single episode, but realized this wasn't something I wanted to do. That's all part of the journey. And other people may say things, but I want you to consider this. Often, the people that are the loudest, that are detractors from what you do, are usually the people, and I don't really like to say that are beneath you, but they are the people who have never attempted any of these things. Okay? The people who, and I don't really want to say above you, but other individuals that have attempted this goal, they're not looking down at you and they're not detracting from your efforts, your focus, and your discernment that it wasn't for you. Just remember that. Because any podcaster out there will tell you, there were weeks, I didn't want to look at that microphone. We all feel that way on any given day. There are days that I wake up to an alarm and I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And it happens to every single one of us. And that's okay. All right. Some people don't want to do the work. They like the idea of the work, the goal. All right. So, and some people, they just want the reward without the tax. They don't want to work that hard. So be honest with yourself. There's no shame in deciding that something is not your priority right now. There is tremendous waste in repeatedly pretending that you like something or you want to do something or that something is your priority. Your first act of independence is freedom from false priorities or shitty priorities or priorities that don't really give you the ROI you're looking for. So choose the account, name it, define the funded outcome, what the outcome should be, and then stop opening any other new accounts every time another interesting idea wanders past in a really sexy dress. Okay? That's okay to do that, and that's what you must do. So once you've chosen the account, the next action is to determine where your currency is presently going. Where is your currency currently being spent? Look at the last 7 days. Do not think about the sparkling, glitter-filled week that you intend to have, but look back at the last 7 days. Don't look at this magnificent fantasy schedule that you designed. Audit what actually is going on. Your calendar is evidence. Your screen time report is evident. It's all evidence. Your emails, your conversations, your level of exhaustion, and even, dare I say, your resentment. So, in your planner, create 5 headings: time, attention, energy, money, and standards, and examine each currency. How much time did your goal receive? Not how much time did you think about it. Not how much time did you spend complaining that you had no time. Not how many protected minutes or hours did you actually invest. That's what you need to know. How many hours or minutes did you actually invest in this goal? And if your goal is writing a book and you wrote nothing, the account received 0 time currency, 0 deposit. If your goal is business development, you made no offers, contacted no prospects, completed 0 follow-ups, your account received 0 deposit. When your goal is to have better health and you didn't make a single appointment, you skipped every walk that you had planned, you slept 4 hours because you watched videos until midnight, the account for your better health was underfunded. That's not me judging you. That's accounting. That's a ledger. That's verifiable. So make sure you're honest. Just like a teller would be honest with your deposit slip. Okay? When it comes to focus and attention, where did your mind go? How many hours were consumed by looking at notifications on your phone, going onto social media, dealing with some of the rage bait that goes on there, gossip, unnecessary meetings, or arguments with people who were never going to even reconsider their position based on what you had to say, because that's honestly 99% of them. Every meaningless online disagreement withdraws attention from something that you claim matters. You're not obligated to attend every argument in which the internet gives you on a buffet. Most opinions don't deserve your rebuttal. Most people are committed to misunderstanding because comprehension would require them to revise their preferred story, their preferred opinion, their preferred stance. Let people be wrong, because expending your currency to correct someone who refuses to be corrected is a waste of your most valuable currency. So you have to protect your currency. Do you walk around with $20 bills sticking out of your back pocket? Do you walk around with your debit cards and credit cards with your PIN written on them in magic marker? No. Protect your currency. It's important. And you have to protect all of your currencies. Time, focus, energy. It's so important in reaching that goal. Now, let's talk about energy. Who received the finest portions of your energy? I audit myself. I know that very early in the morning is my most energetic time of day. I have a lull in the afternoon, and then somewhere around 2000 in the evening, my energy level picks back up again. And it's high until close to midnight. Okay, so I make sure that most of my labor-intensive work is done somewhere between 5:30 and 9 a.m. I get into my office. I have a routine. I time block. I list those priorities that must be accomplished, and I get her done. All right, so when you look at your expenditures of energy, who or what received the biggest portions of your energy, the best portions? Did your employer receive your best cognitive hours while your own goals received that wilted scrap of parasitic lettuce? Y'all know what I'm talking about. All right. Did you spend emotional energy managing someone who has developed a suspicious allergy to accountability? Did you spend the day rescuing people from consequences that they worked so hard to create for themselves? Did you give your goal the first serving or the crappy leftovers that you're never going to eat and they're going to stay in the fridge until they're molded? I don't eat leftovers. It's only leftover pizza, believe it or not. That's about the only leftover I eat, or prime rib. That's it. Okay? Your goals cannot survive indefinitely on scraps and leftovers. It doesn't work that way. You have to give your goal some of that high energy. All right? The next standard is your money. What did you financially support? Did you invest money in something that's required for the goal? Training, equipment, software platforms. Or did you purchase products that merely create a sensation of progress within your brain? Did you buy another course, but you didn't even finish the last 4 you purchased? That's not progress. Buying another planner is not progress. It's progress for me if you buy my Fix Your Shit planner, okay? But if you never use it, that's not progress. It's progress for my book sales. It's progress for my bank account, but not for yours. Purchasing a treadmill is not progress when the treadmill becomes, again, that clothing hanger. All right. Money can purchase access, equipment, education, or assistance, but it does not purchase your participation. So you have to participate and complete the training. And when it comes to standards, this currency is extremely important because, believe it or not, this is where a number of insidious leaks occur. The things that you tolerate that pull your focus from your goals. The things that have received access to you that pull your energy, money, and time away from your goals. What behavior drained your account because you didn't enforce a standard? I have gone to a do not disturb type of behavior when I first get into my office in the morning, because there are time sucks that take place. So I have to enforce the standard and that boundary. If I am heads down on a project, I don't look at notifications. I don't listen to the ding when I get an email. I just continue to work on that particular moment's project. Okay? So you have to do that because that is how you fund your goal. If you're chronically tardy, if you cannot keep promises or cannot keep deadlines, individuals that show you disrespect, individuals that manipulate you, when you miss deadlines or you produce a crappy product, poor performance, allow repeated interruptions, or people that emotionally dump on you every opportunity they get, every tolerated behavior funds the continuation of that crap. Okay? So what you permit actually receives a subsidy of your currencies, all of them, your time, your focus, your energy. Okay? Your standards and your money. Because every minute that you put up with that bullshit, it is taking away from your ability to be successful at your goal. So don't permit that crap. So at the bottom of your audit page, you should name the 3 largest draws on your account, those leaks. Name them. Maybe your leaks are doom scrolling, overcommitting, perfectionism, or fear. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of no support. Maybe you're a people pleaser. Maybe you have a high disorganization level. Maybe you think you have to rescue others. Okay? And that takes up your time. Or you're beginning new projects before completing the existing ones. Don't write down life. Life is not a leak. That's generic. Okay? Any one of us could write life. All right? Life is not a leak. You have to be specific. You cannot repair plumbing just by saying to someone, oh, the building, it feels like there's extra water in here somewhere. You got to find the leak and you have to name it. And just identifying it isn't enough. This third action that you can take, that you should be taking, you have to defund those items that are drawing on your bank account that shouldn't be. And this third action is, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to make you gloriously unpopular with certain people. But you must defund the habits, the people, and the patterns that are drawing on your account, that are keeping you from completing your goal. And every goal has competitors. You writing the book, scrolling through social media competes with that. Impulsive spending draws down on your financial stability. Your compulsion to explain yourself, your position, your rationale competes with your peace. Convenience and neglect compete with your health. Performative progress competes with your business plan. You get the idea, right? Emotional absences, that competes with the health of your marriage or your relationships. Your confidence competes with outsourcing every decision to the opinions of strangers. Opinions of strangers have negative ROI, negative cash flow. Who gives a shit what anybody thinks about you? You cannot fully fund a goal just by adding more activity to an already overdrawn life. You fund your goal by removing the expenses that consume the energy and the currencies that you need to complete the goal. And this is where people become really excited about productivity tools, because a new tool feels considerably less threatening than a new boundary. Some people would rather purchase a new application or new software or a new piece of equipment than tell someone else no. They would rather redesign their entire schedule than cancel an obligation. They want to create this beautiful color-coded system, but they don't want to admit that 3 projects they undertook they shouldn't have taken, and they need to be paused. Okay? So you need to defund those time sucks, those currency sucks. My friends, efficiency cannot save you from a life stuffed with commitments that never should have been in your calendar. And I'll tell you, the planner, it's not a magical compression device. It cannot force 37 hours of obligations into a 24-hour day. Sometimes fixing your shit means doing less shit. Okay? So, set aside a page titled What I Am No Longer Funding. Divide it into 3 categories: stop, reduce, remove. All right? You will list under stop the behaviors you're going to discontinue, which could be scrolling during work time that you should be working on your goals, impulse spending, responding instantly to every message, beginning new projects, engaging in recurring arguments with people that are never going to change your mind. You want to reduce activities that may remain, but should be receiving fewer, parts of your resources and currency, such as social media, television, unnecessary travel, volunteer obligations, low-value administrative tasks that you can delegate. And you should reduce conversations with people who mistake your availability as an entitlement. And then remove. You want to remove commitments, systems, or relationships that have repeatedly proven incompatible with your goal. A service you no longer use, like some software platforms, some streaming apps. Processes that create more work than it saves. Get rid of those. Any client that consumes disproportionate resources. Any role that you accepted out of guilt. Okay? Or relationships that have only survived because you subsidize it with your peace. You give up your peace to keep the relationship going. These require courage, because defunding the competition to your goal is going to disappoint other people. No, I cannot possibly babysit your child on Tuesday afternoon. I have something planned. Okay, people who benefited from unlimited access to you will call your boundaries selfish. Fuck them. People who enjoyed your availability will now call your focus and determination arrogance. Oh, they think they're better than me because they're starting a podcast. Oh, they think they're better than me because they didn't have time to go out to dinner because they were focusing on writing their book. People who depended on you and your disorganization will now feel threatened by your clarity and organization. Tell them that they can file a complaint and the line forms to the fucking left. Get in the queue, bitches. You're going to be there a long time because I'm not interested in your complaints and I'm not going to resolve your complaints. There is no customer experience team here to make you feel good. This is me. That line forms to the left. Get a number, get in the queue. I'm probably not going to get to you because freedom requires separation from the overlord. And the overlord are those time sucks and those currency sucks that are doing nothing toward moving you to your goal. Sometimes it's an inherited expectation or an institution. Sometimes regrettably, it's your own inability to say no without providing a 17-page emotional dissertation on why you can't and how bad you feel about why you can't. Okay? No. Period. Don't forget the period, friends, because no is a complete sentence. Okay? No. I'm not interested in that fuckery today. Period. End of discussion. I'm not giving you a rationale for why. I'm not going to tell you the excuse why. I'm not going to tell you anything else. No. So anybody who needs a formal addition, no. And please do not mistake my previous generosity for an ongoing contractual obligation. Helping you once doesn't mean I have to help you in perpetuity. Okay? Your action is to remove at least one recurring expense from your account this week. 1, cancel it, decline it, delete it, block it, delegate it, end it, reduce it. Your goal doesn't need another inspiring speech. It needs access to the currency that is currently being spent on its competitors. You need to be able to schedule those deposits before life spends the money. Okay? It's no good that you wrote a check for $50, but you only had 42 cents in your account. Once you've stopped some of these leaks, you're going to decide to fund that goal. So create specific, repeatable deposits and schedule them before the currency is spent elsewhere. Okay? I will work on it when I have time is a beautifully phrased abandonment plan. You will not actually discover a pristine, 3-hour block hidden behind the sofa cushions. Unclaimed time is rapidly seized by emails, requests, errands, interruptions, social media. People who believe your lack of panic indicates availability. Your deposits have to be scheduled. So use the planner and define what will I do, when will I do it, how long will I do it, and what evidence will prove that I did it. Saying I will work on my book is vague. Saying that I will write 500 words from 6 to 6:45 on Tuesday morning and on Thursday morning is fundable. Saying I will grow my business is vague. But saying I will contact 5 prospective clients every Wednesday before noon, that's fundable. Okay? I will improve my finances. Vague, vague, vague. All right? Transferring $200 into savings every payday before discretionary spending begins. That is fucking fundable. So don't be vague. Be specific. Specificity makes the check cashable. The deposits that you're making should be small enough to repeat and meaningful enough to matter. Because this is when and where people frequently design a plan so elaborate that implementation would require 3 assistants, a chef, a chauffeur, a personality transplant, and 48 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Okay? You'll declare you're going to wake up at 4 a.m, meditate for 45 minutes. Oh my God, I couldn't do it. Exercise for an hour, journal, read 50 pages, write 2,000 words, prepare organic meals. What's an organic meal? That's that cyclospore stuff that's killing everybody. Answer no email until noon and become a millionaire by Thursday. But they miss one morning and declare the entire system is incompatible with their aura. No, you just didn't choose a realistic deposit. Your consistency, believe it or not, compounds. It really, really does. 500 words written every week produces 26,000 words in a year. One meaningful sales call every workday produces hundreds of conversations. Okay? Dramatic gestures may create a story. Repeatable habits create the result. And don't forget to protect that deposit. Put it on your calendar. treat it as an appointment, turn off notifications, close the door. I actually have a sign, an RGB LED sign that scrolls that says, do not disturb. Outside my office door, I shut my office door. When that sign is on, if somebody opens the door into that section of my office building and they see it, they shut the door and walk away because they know. Do not disturb me. They don't then turn around and try to text me or give me a phone call unless it's urgent or an emergency. That's the only time. And I mean a real emergency, okay? So just know that. Tell people around you when you are unavailable. All right? Don't let people cross that boundary. Plain and simple. You've got, discipline does become easier when the environment around you stops arguing with the goal. That sign goes on, no one interrupts me. You're not merely scheduling work. You are reserving currency before you spend it on other bullshit. And then every week you have to reconcile that account. The one that transforms a temporary burst of enthusiasm into an operating system. Reconcile the account every week. Because memory is unreliable, assumptions are dangerous, and money has a peculiar habit. Currency has a peculiar habit of disappearing when no one is keeping tabs on it. And your goals require the same discipline. So once a week, open that planner. Conduct a review. What did I say I would fund? Did I actually fund it? Where's the evidence that exists that I funded it? What things drained the account that I wasn't expecting? What did I tolerate? What did I avoid? And what should I be adjusting? What is going to be receiving my funding next week? And this is not an opportunity to shame yourself. Shame is a terrible accountant. It either falsifies the records or it burns down the office. The purpose of reconciliation is not shame and guilt. It's accuracy. Perhaps you scheduled 5 deposits, but only accomplished 3. That's information. Why did you miss the other 2? Was your plan unrealistic? Did an emergency occur? Did another commitment consume that currency? Did you avoid the task because it involved exposure, uncertainty, or criticism? Did you fail to prepare your environment? Or did you simply decide that something else mattered more? Be honest and then adjust. Don't respond to an imperfect week by abandoning the entire account and goal. All right? Don't abandon the entire account and goal because you had an imperfect week. Reconciliation of that account allows you to correct a course before a minor discrepancy becomes a full-scale financial scandal. All right? Record 3 things about that week. What action moved my goal forward? That's your deposit. What drained currency without producing sufficient ROI? That's the leak. What will I change next week to improve my deposit and reduce my leak? Identify the minimum deposit you need next week to cover all of your liabilities. The minimum deposit that keeps the account active. This is especially important when you have difficult seasons. I put that in quotations, air quotations, because illness can occur, emergencies occur, exhaustion is real, and sometimes your resources, i.e. your currency, fluctuate. So the minimum deposit for the following week may become smaller, but the account does not need to disappear entirely. Okay. Maybe during the week, that book only receives 100 words instead of 500. All right. Small deposits preserve continuity. Continuity protects identity. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you deposit into your self-trust account. Every time you repeatedly issue promises and then abandon them, you withdraw from that account. Eventually, you overdraw it. So the weekly review helps you make your word credible again. And that is the whole purpose of this planner and guide. It's not merely a place to record appointments. It's a place to make the invisible visible. It's to see where the currency went, to distinguish intention from evidence. It helps you to document deposits, to expose leaks. It shows you whether you've made deliberate choices. It holds your present behavior accountable to your future declarations. The planner will not do the work for you. Okay? We already have enough people out here searching for tools that absolve them of participation. The planner gives you the structure. You provide the deposits. All right? So let's review this. Choose one account. Name it. Define what funded looks like. Conduct a ruthless funding audit. Review where your time, attention, energy, money, and standards went during the last 7 days. Identify the 3 largest leaks and do not falsify the records. Defund what competes for your goal. Stop, reduce, and remove the behaviors and obligations competing with the fulfillment of that goal. Cancel at least one recurring drain, because freedom requires separation from the overlord. Choose specific repeatable actions. Schedule those deposits. Assign them a day, a time, duration, and measurable result. Schedule the deposit before life or anything else spends that currency. And then reconcile that account weekly. Review what was promised, what occurred, what drained the account, and what must change. Record the deposit, the leak, and the adjustment, because your consistency compounds on the daily, the weekly, the monthly, to help you reach your goals. So, here's your closing challenge. Your 7-day declaration of independence. On 4 July 2026, I launched the Salty Goddess Fix Your Shit Planner and Guide, because independence is not just a historical event. It's an ongoing act. The U.S. decided it was no longer going to be governed by an authority from across the pond. So you may need to declare that your future will no longer be governed by distraction, chaos, poor boundaries, fear, procrastination, or the opinions of jackholes who are not contributing one damned deposit to the account. Negative ROI, anybody? So, choose one goal. Audit your currencies. Identify the leaks. Defund your competition to your goal. Schedule repeatable deposits and reconcile the account at the end of the week. That's it. This is not a personality renovation. It's not an 18-step morning ritual. It's not a dramatic announcement. Okay, accompanied by some professional photography and a couple of great, pull quotes or calls to action. One funded account, one closed leak, one repeatable deposit, one honest review. Freedom is not doing whatever you feel like doing at every moment. That's not freedom. But that's frequently how your accounts become overdrawn. Freedom is having sufficient control over your behavior that your temporary impulses no longer dictate your permanent outcomes. Freedom is saying no to what drains you. Freedom is reserving your best energy for what matters. Freedom is removing access from people who repeatedly overdraw the account. Freedom is making your actions agree with your declarations. It's not what you say, it is what you do. I'm sorry, I cannot hear what you are saying. Your actions are really loud. That's all I'm seeing. Freedom is building a life that does not require constant escape from reality. And my sweet darlings, my salty friends, your goal does not need another promise. It needs funding. Your future does not need another decorative check. It needs deposits. Your planner does not need perfect handwriting. It needs evidence. Open the account, close the leaks, protect the currency, schedule the payment, reconcile the ledger, and begin purchasing and funding the life that you keep ordering. Now get the fuck out there and do it. This is the Salty Goddess Podcast. I'm Margaret, reminding you that fixing your shit is not punishment. It's liberation. So until next time, stay audaciously authentic. Keep your standards savage. And remember, your calendar is the receipt. Your behavior is the bank statement. Your habits are to fund the mechanism. And babes, freedom begins when you stop financing your own captivity. Please follow, subscribe, download, review, and share this episode with someone whose goals are still being governed by the overlords of distraction, avoidance, and chaos. Then open your Salty Goddess Fix Your Shit Planner and Guide. Make the deposit. I'll see y'all next week. Thank you for joining me.